I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentary, and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos. All right, let's get right in to it. So, by the look of the title, you already know what time it is. We're going to be talking about our favorite topic on this channel, which is colorism, all right? Specifically in the hit 2000s Black animated TV show, The Proud Family, and specifically with the character Miss Dijonay. Although I will be mentioning Suga Mama just a little bit, just a tad, okay? This is about Dijonay today. And I've been wanting to do a video about the colorism of the Proud Family for a hot minute, ever since it came available on Disney Plus last summer, but I kind of procrastinated for a good minute. I also want to do a video about the treatment of dark-skinned girls on Disney Channel. But look out for that video. It's going to be coming soon. But today, like I said, it's about the Proud Family. But what made me want to do this video was because the artwork for the new designs of the reboot, because as you know, the Proud Family is going to be having a reboot coming to Disney Plus sometime this year, I think. It came, and you know, we see the character designs for, you know, the characters and all that. And, you know, people had their thoughts and opinions. And one user by the name of Written by Ella, she had a tweet that got pretty viral and got some attention. So her tweet basically said, "Look at how at Disney Plus portrays Dijonay in comparison to the other lighter-skinned characters. Dijonay looks like a caricature of an argumentative, fat, dark-skinned black woman. At this point, it's intentional to continuously portray dark-skinned black female characters like this." And then she takes this a step further and mentions the show creator, or one of the show creators, Bruce W. Smith, and says, and she asks him and says, "Answer my question. You are purposefully pushing colorist tropes and stereotypes years later, and this has not changed." And he basically responds with a gif that kind of gives the energy of girl please, or like whatever. And what's also like kind of not surprising or shocking about this is kind of people's response to her tweet. And it was basically, obviously, anytime a black woman talks about colorism, it's just gaslight central and like, oh, it's just a TV show, the show is 20 years old now, let it go, or you're too sensitive, all that whole thing. And it's just like, are y'all really just... And I get it, like Twitter, like I said, as great of a place as it could be, it's just so toxic sometimes, especially, like I said, for dark-skinned black women, and it's just so annoying. But that's exactly why I wanted to make this video today, because I'm like, y'all not really about to act like you don't know what she's talking about, like, at this point. And even when Bruce W. Smith responds, it's just like, this ain't the first time you heard this Bruce W. Smith. Like, you have had to have heard plenty, like, there's plenty of YouTube videos, articles, and the like of people talking about the colorism on the Proud Family and how a lot of dark-skinned girls, you know, felt about the portrayal of Dijonay on this show. And even I remember Tumor for Tyreek, who's an awesome YouTube creator who I watch his videos pretty frequently. He made a video with the interviewing Bruce W. Smith last year. I can't find the video anymore. He might have deleted it or archived it. I don't know. But I remember him bringing up, you know, people's concerns or people's, you know, frustrations with the colorism on the show. And he kind of just said, oh, you know, Dijonay is just, you know, based off of girls that he's seen growing up. And that could be true, right? That could be true. But at the same time, it's not even, like I said, for me at least, it's not even really about how she looks or anything like that, or even, like I said, her name or anything like that. Because, like I said, there are little girls that look like Dijonay. There are little girls who have a name like Dijonay. That's not the problem. It's the fact that her character is meant to be a stereotype. And two, she's not given the same level of grace and care as the other characters on this show. Like, even Lassie Anaga gets redeeming, you know, episodes and episodes where you feel for her. Where Dijonay, like I said, she's meant to be loud and like a bad influence on Penny and disloyal to Penny. And that's where the problems come in, because as I've said in my many, you know, talks about diversity and inclusion and colorism in television and media, you know, when you only have one of something, especially with a person that's in a minority situation or a disenfranchised situation, people don't tend to believe all their negative qualities are in part due to their whatever. So if, like I said, for her being dark skinned, they're gonna be like, okay, she's loud and she's ghetto and she's this because she's dark skinned. not because she's just like that, right? And that's where the problems come in, because we don't get a bunch of array of dark-skinned girls on this show. The main character is dark-skinned, and La Cienega, I mean, she's Latina, so that's a whole other, group of people. And then you have Zoe, who's a white girl, and I honestly think Zoe could have been easily played by a dark-skinned black girl. Like, we would have loved to see a little nerdy, awkward black girl back then. No shade to Zoe, but I'm just saying. But yeah, and like I said, the only other portrayal of a dark-skinned person on this show is Suga Mama, which we'll get into a little bit later. But okay, so we're going to talk about we're going to go into the character description of Dijonay, and then we're going to talk about 3 significant episodes about Dijonay, and then we're going to give, I'm going to give my thoughts and my analysis, okay? And how these episodes contribute to the colorism and the colorism surrounding Dijonay's portrayal on the show. Okay, all right. So first things first, we're gonna define colorism, because like I said, we gotta do it for the people in the back. There's always the ones in the back we gotta do it for. Okay, at least this is the definition of colorism I adhere to, because I know people got their definitions, and we like definitions over here. Okay. Colorism is a practice of discrimination by which those with lighter skin are treated more favorably than those with darker skin. This practice is a product of racism in the United States, in that it upholds the white standards of beauty and benefits white people in the institutions of oppression such as media, medical world, etc. Okay? And the Proud Family, for those who do not know, if you don't, okay, is an American animated sitcom that originally ran on Disney Channel from September 15th, 2001 to August 19, 2005. A revival known as The Proud Family Louder and Prouder was announced in 2020 and will premiere on Disney Plus in 2021. It has 2 seasons and 52 episodes plus a film. Okay? And then, and then we have the character description of Dijonay, which is on the Disney Wiki page. I like to go on the Disney Wiki page because people give really good in-depth analysis and descriptions of characters. So I feel like this was a good place to start, right? So listen to this. So Dijonay. She is Penny's selfish, chubby, and enthusiastic best friend. She loves to gossip and has gotten Penny into trouble many times. She has an obsessive crush on Sticky Web, who is trying to avoid her affection. Eventually, Penny stopped trusting Dijonay since the latter always mistreated her, though the girls still remain friends. Dijonay's name is a pun on Dijonay's, and she has 9 younger siblings named all after spices, seasonings, and condiments. That explains it's fitting that Dijonay is a good cook. Her biggest talent, however, is poetry writing and reciting. Penny got jealous of her once because they both discovered together that Dijonay was really better at it. She's also a member of the girl group LPDZ, consisting of herself, and her 3 friends, Penny, La Cienega, and Zoe. She stated that her family is originally from Louisiana, meaning she was not born in Wisville, which is the fictional universe that they live in. She's also known both Penny and La Cienega since they were preschool age. Dijonay has not always been a good friend to Penny, but she has shown enough evidence that she does indeed care about her. Okay. Yeah. And Dijonay is voiced by the wonderful Karen Molina White. You know her best for being, I think her name was, I forget her name, but the girl that plays Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, when she was back on the Cosby Show, she was her best friend, and she was her friend on Living Single, that one episode. Yeah, but her, and also you probably know her on A Different World, and her boyfriend was Alan Payne's character, Lance. Okay, she has a very iconic voice. But yeah, so that's her character description. So interesting. So we're gonna look at, like I said, 4 episodes today. The first one being the pilot, which is known or titled Bring It On. The pilot's a good place to start because, I mean, the pilot tells you everything, or, sets the world up and the characters up in such a way, and it leaves your first impressions of everyone. And so it's important how these characters are introduced to us, because it sets the tone for how we're going to be perceiving them for the rest of the series. Of course, characters can grow or not grow throughout the series or whatever, but like I said, the pilot is your first impression, right? So And this episode, basically, as the title suggests, is a cheerleading episode. And basically, Penny and as well as Zoe, as well as other, girls of the school are auditioning to be on the cheerleading squad. Dijonay, the queen bee that she is the cheerleading captain. And I mean, obviously by default, it's assumed that, Penny's about to be a shoo-in because her and Dijonay are best friends. They mentioned this many times, how tight they are, how close they are, whatever. And so, of course, all the people, they do the typical people doing their auditions, and everyone kind of does a really bad job, except for Penny. Penny is the most closest prospect that they have. And like I said, she was going to get it anyway because her and Dijonay are friends. Nepotism, okay? And right when she's about to give Penny the spot, a young girl by the name of La Cienega Boulevardes steps onto the scene, and Dijonay immediately recognizes her. As I described in the character description, she's known La Cienega since she was little. And so, she gives her a shot and says, okay, you could do your audition. And at first it seems like La Cienega is about to do a bad job, but then she does all these flips and tricks, honey, and they were like, oh, wow. And so Penny obviously is like, oh, dang, well, there goes that. But to be fair, Dijonay says, you know what, let's do a cheer off, and whoever does well this cheer off will be get the new spot. And so Penny is upset, right? She goes home. She tells her mother, like, basically, like, I don't get it. Like, why do we have to do this cheer off? Like, we're supposed to be best friends. I was a shoo-in. Like, who cares about this La Cienega girl? Basically saying, Dijonay owes Penny more loyalty than La Cienega because they're closer, and La Cienega literally just popped out of thin air. And of course, in typical like sitcom type fashion, it just so happens that La Cienega is her new neighbor. Like I said, this episode really was more about Penny than anything else because obviously she's the main character. But what's really important about this episode is what Suga Mama says. And basically, she says to Penny, oh, I told you to ditch that Dijonay a long time ago. And usually when your grandmama or your mama say something like that, they mean that they don't like that friend. And usually the reason why your grandmama or your mama don't like your friend is because they're not a good friend. Like, who hasn't had like a person, like a friend that your grandma or your mom said about like that? Like, they're never saying it because they were a good influence on you, you know what I mean? So like I said, this is the pilot, so this is already not looking too good for Dijonay, girl. Okay. And then there's the whole thing of like the Grove sisters trying to help Penny out in sabotaging La Cienega's audition, but then Penny stops it. She gets injured, and then she can't be a cheerleader because her legs are broken. But then La Cienega's not appreciative of it because La Cienega has this thing about her where she's really rude and shady to Penny in private, but then with other people around, she's really nice. So they're like, when Penny says, I can't stand her, I don't like her, people are like, why don't you like her? She's really nice, so she's a supervillain, that's why. Okay, and that's even why Dijonay couldn't see why Penny was not feeling La Cienega. But then at the end of the episode, she does see her being rude to Penny, and she's like, oh, dang, I didn't know she was that rude, like, I'm so sorry. And Penny, eventually sees that, at the end of the day, it was the best person who won, and it was a very tough spot for Dijonay to be in. They make up, it's all good. But like I said, the biggest part about this is what Suga Mama says, because like I said, it plants the seed of doubt of us, the audience, about Dijonay. We're supposed to keep our eye out for her. She not really to be trusted, honey. So then, moving right along, we have Poetic Justice, which is a season 2 episode. And this episode also was mentioned in the character description where basically Dijonay and Penny both enter a poetry contest. Dijonay asks Penny to help her make a poem because she sees that Penny's really good at it and she wants to be really good at it, and Penny volunteers to help her. And then Dijonay, participates in the first round of the contest and does really good. And so Penny's upset because she feels that Dijonay deceived her or something like that. And majority of the episode, she is upset with Dijonay. And Dijonay feels bad because she doesn't want to upset her friend. She just wanted to do poems because she thought it was cool and she sees that Penny was good at it. And it's not her fault that she's good at it. How is she supposed to know this? And so she meets with her literally until the last couple of minutes of the episode, until Penny finally realized what a jerk she was being, and then she apologizes and they make up. But what's important about this particular episode, it kind of just shows you how Penny kind of perceives Dijonay. Like I said, her default is always to think that Dijonay is tricking her and that she's not putting her best foot forward in this friendship. And also I think that Penny thinks she's better than Dijonay. Like I said, where La Cienega is viewed as a rival for her, like she's not necessarily jealous of her. She's just saying, oh, that's my competition. I like will look out for her in that way. With Dijonay, she by default always thinks that she's going to be better than Dijonay in something. And she also thinks morale wise, she's better than Dijonay. Like she's just better than her. And there are friends, like female friends that we have that are like that growing up, that just think we can be friends so long as I'm doing better than you. And the moment that you're doing better than me, you gotta pump your brakes. Like, nah, that's not how this friendship works, which is toxic. It's toxic and unhealthy. But it's important to note in this, like I said, in this friendship and looking at Dijonay as a character. Because like I said, Penny's default is to always assume the worst in Dijonay. And that is something. Okay, next we have probably the most interesting episode surrounding Dijonay's adventures in Bebe City, which is another season 2 episode. Basically in this episode, the girls are all planning to go to this boy band group. I think they're called 3 Stories. And Dijonay, and right off the bat in this episode, they're showing Dijonay being shady. The girls, when people in those shows back in the day where they would have to sit outside and wait for concert tickets all night. So that's what the girls are doing. But Dijonay was not there. She was like, I'm not about to sit outside with y'all. But she wanted to reap the benefits because she came back the next morning. And of course the girls are like, where the hell were you at? Like, where did you go? And so she brings them, she couldn't even bring them food because she is like, the food is half eaten, like, you know what I mean? But then they try to go buy the concert tickets as soon as the thing opens, but they miss it. And then they're missing, they can't buy the tickets. So they're kind of upset. But then the girl sisters offer them like, hey, we got some, some extra tickets or refurbished tickets for y'all, whatever. And so they buy them at extra, like 3 times the price that they were. But then that's quickly, or Dijonay and Penny's joy is quickly shattered because both their parents are planning to go to some couples retreat, so they both have to watch their siblings that night. Penny suggests, them to hang out and do it together so they're not alone. And Dijonay's like, yeah, let's make a night of it. It's gonna be fun, whatever. What also is important about this episode is that Penny resells her ticket back to one of the girls' sisters because she's like, I'm not gonna be there, there's no point in me having it. But Dijonay keeps hers, which is, you gotta keep, why did you keep your ticket? What's that about, right? And then the night comes, and of course, Dijonay has 9 siblings, as I said, so they're all acting up, acting crazy, and they all want to watch some thingy tape. Thingy is like the Proud Fairy version of Barney. And Dijonay's like, okay, I'll go get it at the house. Of course, a couple of minutes, hours go by, and Penny's like, what the hell, what's going on? Where did she go? Whatever. And Dijonay's sister tells Penny, oh, Dijonay paid us to act a fool so that she had an excuse to leave and go to the concert. And she's like, what? And of course she's upset. Meanwhile, Dijonay goes to the concert, and La Cienega and Zoe's looking like, where's Penny? Or how did you leave Penny? And Dijonay's like, oh, Penny's such a good friend that she let me go without her. She's like, we shouldn't both miss the concert. What a great friend, whatever. She lied, okay? Which is like, so then, in the episode, basically, Dijonay's two of the siblings like go missing. Penny has to go find them, and in her little trying to go find them, she runs into the 3-story group, their limo, and then they end up, saying, hey, come with us to the show. You can come for free, whatever. And so then when they come out the limo, La Cienega, Zoe, and Dijonay are being kicked out of the thing because the girl sister gave them fake tickets. But of course, Penny lets Zoe, or says that Zoe and La Cienega are with her and they gave her to go to the concert. But then she says Dijonay is a backstabbing friend. She don't get to come with me. She has to stay outside. And so of course Dijonay is like, what? Or at first she's like, oh, she's not gonna let me sit out here. There's no way. She's my best friend. She's never gonna do that to me. And then after she realizes that Penny's not coming for her, she's like, oh dang, she's feeling bad for herself and saying, well, I would have left me too, whatever. Penny eventually comes out, and this is where things get very interesting. And so she says, it was really messed up what you did. You shouldn't have done that. You're not, that's really, fake of you to do. It's disloyal or whatever. And, Dijonay's being apologetic. She's like, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And she's like, you know what? It's okay because I'm never going to trust you again, ever again. And Dijonay's kind of like, how the heck are you not going to trust me ever again? How are we going to be friends? And she's like, oh, it's okay because I trust you to be the friend that I can't trust. And Dijonay takes that as like a thing of like endearment. And it's like, oh, you accept me for who I am. And then they have like a little hug it out moment. But I'm just like, first of all, that's a bad message to send to children. Like, do not let proud family fool you. You need trust in a friendship, in all relationships, but definitely your friendships. Like, you should be able to trust your friend. And I get the whole sentiment behind, like, some people you just gotta meet them where you're at. But it's like, no, like, if you my friend, my best friend at that, I gotta trust you at bare minimum. Like, I can't just not, what? Like, that's, and once again, the second thing that's problematic with this episode was, once again, it's putting Dijonay in a very negative light. Like I said, the whole episode, she was being flaky and disloyal to Penny and the other girls as well. So it's not even like, oh, she's just like a bad friend to Penny. She's bad to everybody. She's just out for herself. And like I said, she's lying in this episode. She's being deceitful in this episode. And like I said, instead of, you know, just holding her accountable and saying, nah, like, if we're gonna be friends, you can't do that again, or we're not gonna be friends anymore. She just says, oh, you're just gonna be the friend I guess can't trust. You're just a shady friend, and that's cool. Like, what? Okay. The last episode we're going to talk about is Surf and Turf, which is another season 2 episode. And this episode is another interesting one because in this episode, kind of focuses more so on Sticky and Dijonay's dynamic, okay? So basically, in this episode, it starts out with Big Boy, which is a radio personality, and as well as in like his, I guess his sidekick, whoever that person was, I can't remember. But they come on the scene, they basically say, okay, we're having a little competition we're gonna pull a name out of a hat, and whoever name we call out, which is, I guess it's supposed to be a girl, and she's gonna pick a guy, and they're going to, he has the option to either kiss or diss her. If he chooses to kiss her, they're gonna win all these prizes, you know, Wizard dollars and a doom buggy and a date and all these cool things. And if he disses her, well, then she's just gonna be embarrassed, right? Like, that's just how it's gonna be. And so they pick Dijonay's name out, and of course, if you watch the show, you already know she chooses Mr. Sticky Web to kiss her. But if you also watch the show, you know that Sticky does not like Dijonay, so he rejects her in front of nearly everyone, and she's super embarrassed. And so she ends up, you know, going to the ice cream shop and crying, and she says the line, "Nobody likes me." And she's just crying, and she's feeling bad. And, the girls are consoling her. And then you have Mr. Zook. And Zook is, I think he's Hawaiian, but he's working at the shop. And he says, Dijonay, I would have never done that to you. I would have kissed you, okay? And gives this big old bowl of ice cream. And the girl's like, oh, snap, Duke like you. And Duke cute. So they're like, girl, what you doing? And she's like, no, I can't be disloyal to Sticky. Like, Sticky's, that's my man. And they're like, girl, get a grip. Like, that's not your man. So then Penny comes up with the idea, like, you know what you should do? You should date Duke and then make Sticky jealous, and then Sticky's gonna, come back to you if he sees, or not really come back to you, but, start seeing interest in you because she sees you with somebody else. And she's like, oh, that's a great idea. So she goes and she starts talking to Duke. And, Penny's like, the real reason why she says to do that is hopefully Dijonay sees what it's like to be with someone that actually wants to be with her and forget all about Sticky, which is, I guess, a good thing. And then, of course, as predictable as men could be, Sticky did get jealous of seeing Dijonay with Duke, and he even refers to her as his woman. And so the whole episode, he's trying to get Dijonay back, and what he ends up doing is fake dating Penny to get her jealous, which is really just something. And so they participate in this like couples games type of thing or whatever. And basically by the end of the episode, Duke dumps Dijonay, actually, and because he becomes friends with Sticky off camera somewhere, because I never seen them talk this entire episode, and then Sticky goes back to ignoring and rejecting Dijonay because now she's single again, which is ridiculous. And then at the end of the episode, her and Penny are talking, and Penny's kind of telling her, look, I wasn't really with Sticky, I was only doing it to make you jealous, because that's what he wanted. And she's like, oh, it's okay, I get it, it's cool. But then she's like, okay, so what was the lesson that you learned about all of this? And she's like, I thought she was gonna say, I'm gonna love myself better, but she said something like, oh, like, don't be with people, or I guess that was supposed to be the lesson, but Dijonay's like, oh yeah, be with someone that loves me or whatever. But then she ends up chasing Sticky, like, right after that. So she learned nothing, and we learned nothing. Cause what? Because it would have been so refreshing to just see Dijonay reject Sticky once and for all. And I mean, at the end of the day, here's the thing when it comes to Sticky and Dijonay. I find it interesting how, even like I said, people were talking in the comments to this girl, the girl on Twitter, saying, oh, well, Dijonay was sexually harassing Sticky or whatever. And I mean, there's this culture in American television of like, people, the character being overly persistent towards someone that clearly doesn't want him or want them. But when it's a woman doing it, the woman is seen as crazy, and it's not seen as to be cute. But when a man does it, i.e. Steve Urkel, okay, it's cute. We're rooting for Steve Urkel, right? When he had a beautiful girl who liked him for him right in his face, he didn't want her, right? He rejected Myra, right? But he wanted, because even us, we didn't really care for that relationship because we wanted to be Steve and Laura. That was the goal from day one. But I say that to say, it's always when it's a guy, it's seen to be cute and admirable. But when it's a woman, it's like, oh, she's crazy, oh, it's whatever. Like I said, no one should be harassed. If somebody say they don't like you, leave them alone. But I'm just saying, it's very interesting how that's the part they want to talk about. But they're not talking about how Sticky, like I said, in this instance, likes Dijonay. At least he likes the attention. And the fact that he just couldn't be, why couldn't he just that could have been the thing to bring them together, even though I don't believe in those things. I hate when shows do that. Like, why does it take someone to date somebody else if you didn't realize that you like them? Like, that's ridiculous. But let's do that, because it's early 2000s show, so whatever. But no, that's not what happens. And this is what brings me to my point of why this is colorist. Because like I said, anytime we have this dark-skinned best friend trope, they're always put in very close proximity to a light-skinned character, i.e. her best friend, her sister, her cousin, whatever. And they're supposed to, usually they're seen as polar opposites. Where the light-skinned girl has very positive qualities and admirable qualities, the dark-skinned girl does not. Like I said, there's countless examples of this, but like the Proud Family, like I said, you have Coming to America with Lisa and her sister, you have Gina and Pam or Martin, you know, you have I forget the other Tisha Campbell movie or House Party, what her friend's name was, but they were both light and dark skinned. But yeah, this has been done over and over and over again. And like I said, anytime you see a lighter skinned girl, she's always shown a favorable light. In this show, Penny is literally the it girl. Like I said, who did not want to be Penny Proud growing up? She was smart, she was pretty, she was likable, you know, she literally was anything she set her mind to, she accomplished it. Like I said, she was on the football team. She was the only girl on the football team. She was a good singer, a good dancer, a good poet, and a good friend, right? Like, she was very loyal to her friends, and she was always, you know, down to help out whoever, you know, in the thing. She had good morals, you know what I mean? Good head on her shoulders overall. She was a good character for young Black girls to aspire to, right? But why couldn't that be Dijonay as well? Why couldn't Dijonay have those things? Because like I said, my problem isn't the fact that her name is Dijonay, or she has blonde hair, or that, you know, she's a little chubby. That's not the problem. The problem is or even her, like I said, being loud or bossy or any of those things, right? Because when you use those things in the right way, it can be positive and validating for girls who have unconventional names or be a little bit on the chunkier side or have full lips. Those are not the things. But when you're showing her to be borderline obsessed with a guy who shows no interest in her, or her being a disloyal and bad friend to Penny and as well as the other girls, then that's my problem. Because now I'm saying, because she is the only one there, people are not going to associate those traits with her just being a bad friend or being a bad person in general. They're going to say, oh, it's because she's dark skinned. Like, oh, it's not like, because this is something we've seen over and over and over again in television and movies. And like I said, and the only other version or Black woman or dark-skinned woman on the show is Suga Mama. And Suga Mama, once again, has great traits about her, but she's also another dark-skinned woman on the show chasing a man who does not want her, aka Poppy. Poppy constantly, you know, makes fun of Suga Mama and calls her ugly and calls her a beast and calls her all these things. And it's meant to be a joke because he's speaking in Spanish and Suga Mama does not understand what he's saying, but it's the same thing. Like, another dark-skinned woman on this show, you know, being rejected. And even with Suga Mama, in comparison to Trudy's parents, she's meant to be seen as the lesser, you know, of the in-laws, okay? Because one, she's seen as an unwanted presence to Oscar. Oscar constantly is kicking her out and calling her also ugly. In the pilot episode, he calls her ugly, and things like that. But in the and with her, Suga Mama, well, Suga Mama is unmarried. We don't know about Oscar and Bobby's dad. We never seen him and whatever, and that's cool, right? That's fine. That's completely fine. But like I said, in comparison to Trudy's family, it makes her look even worse, because she has both of her parents, and they're both esteemed people. They're very well-to-do Black folks. And then, like I said, you look at Suga Mama, she has Oscar, who, while he's an entrepreneur, he's a failing entrepreneur. Proud Snacks is not selling off the shelves. And also you have Bobby, and Bobby's a literal man-child. He sings the little 70s songs and just skips about. There was literally that episode where all the adults disappear except for Bobby, because Bobby's considered to be a child at heart. But that shows you he's not really got much going on. So she has these two sons and really nothing to really show for it. And like I said, in comparison to Trudy's family, who is a lighter skinned counterpart here, it's a bad look. Is that not colorist? Like, I don't see, like, you know what I mean? And so we say all this to say, like I said, we like people like Dijonay and Suga Mama. That's not the problem, like I said. But when you put the negativity surrounding those characters, then it becomes a problem. And like I said, because they're the only portrayals of dark-skinned women on this show, then it's more trickier, because like I said, people are not going to associate these negative characteristics with just being negative. It's going to be because they're dark skinned. And this is something, like I said, anytime you see a dark skinned woman on a TV show, they're usually the sapphire, the loud one, the sassy one, the one that can't find a man, the one that can't keep a man, the one with the baby daddy drama, the one that, like I said, is less desirable compared to her light skinned friend or sister or cousin or whatever. And it's ridiculous. And like I said, the reason why we care is, one, because there's a reboot coming, which means a whole new generation of kids are gonna watch this show and do the same thing we did as kids, internalize these things and think, oh, these little dark-skinned girls are gonna be like, well, damn, is that how I act? Is that how people perceive me? And that's not okay. And like I said, if we don't learn from history, it's going to repeat itself. And it already does. Because like I said, well, one, I mean, dark-skinned girls are not really on TV like that anymore. But even in a movie as recent as Sylvie's Love, as much as I enjoyed that movie, they did the stereotypical Black best friend thing with Asia Naomi King's character, and dark-skinned women were portrayed to be really negative in that movie. Like, and so that's what I'm saying, because we don't learn. Like I said, Proud Family, it's like, okay, that was the 2000s, maybe didn't know better. I said colorism is relatively new in terms of us having these discussions and conversations, but now it's 2021. And we've told you, all right, this was problematic, so let's fix it. And that's the only hope for, you know, this new reboot. I see that there's going to be another dark-skinned girl character voiced by Keke Palmer, and she's meant to be like an activist type character, which is dope. That's cool. That's great. And so at least if Dijonay is portrayed to be exactly the same, at least we have another version of a Black girl who is positive. And that's my only hope, is that y'all don't make her a living, breathing, stalking stereotype either. Because that's what I'm saying. You gotta give variety so that people are not associating, and all of Black dark-skinned girlness is not placed on one character's shoulder. Because like I said, when it's negative, it's a really bad look. Okay? Honestly, I don't really think a reboot's necessary. I'm never really here for reboots. I think that they're lazy, and instead of giving those, you know, I think that, yes, the show creators could have just made a new show. I think you're just trying to bank off nostalgia instead of coming up with original and new ideas. And that ain't no shade. I'm all for Kyla Pratt and Tommy Davidson getting work out here, but you could use their voice talents for something else. It doesn't have to be the Brown family. That's just my take on it, especially if you're going to just make them kids still. I thought they're going to at the very least be a little bit older, maybe in college or something. That would have been a little bit more interesting to see personally. But hey, get your coin, get it how you live, I guess. I ain't going to tell Black people what to do, okay? But like I said, my one thing is, Dijonay deserves better. That's all I think. I think we could write her a little bit better this time around. You have the time. I mean, I don't know how far in production they're in, but I definitely think we could do something a little bit better. Okay, just saying. She deserves better. Like I said, she's a great character. I really loved her growing up. Like I said, I didn't want to be Dijonay. I wanted to be Penny. And like I said, this is not taking away the amazingness and the groundbreakingness that was the Proud Family. I mean, it's one of the very few Black animated shows about Black girlhood. And like I said, Penny was an amazing protagonist to, you know, follow and be a role model for young Black girls. I mean, this show did so much for us growing up on a white network like Disney Channel, okay? It was, like I said, the theme song was done by Destiny's Child and Solange. Like, how iconic is that? Like I said, the voice talent, the subject matter of certain episodes. We learned about Kwanzaa, we learned about homelessness, we learned about, Black, the toxic masculinity of young Black boys with the character Michael. We learned about, like I said, Black girls pushing boundaries in terms of, like I said, a young girl playing football and the adversity that comes with that. We learned, like I said, so much cameos from celebrities, and all of that. And so it's a great show, for sure. No one's taking it away, but it is colorist. And that's like I said, most of these shows from the 90s, early 2000s is problematic and everything like that. But like I said, but now that we know better, let's do better. That's what my problem is, and that's what we're coming with it. We're having a reboot. Let's show Dijonay some love this time around. That's all we asking for. So yeah, let me know in the comments your favorite Proud Family show. Let's talk about colorism on the Proud Family. Do you see it? What are some other examples that you saw on the show? Let me know. Please do not come in my comments trying to gaslight and play that there's not colorism in the show, because I'm not here for it. Okay? No matter what it's. Okay? But yeah, let me know your favorite studio, your favorite Proud Family episode. Are you looking forward to this reboot? What do you want to see in the reboot? Let me know all those good things in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out.